Boomer Sooner.
Upended balls loose, laying around, picked up on the run. Cannon, he's to the 10, he's to the 5, touchdown!
Live at Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Welcome to the OU Huddle on the Sooner Sports Network from Learfield. Presented by Air Comfort Solutions, your total home solution for plumbing, heating, air conditioning, and electrical. Make the winning call today. Also brought to you by Riverwind Casino. Good times, great rewards. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. And by Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, bringing you the best in real Texas barbecue. Now, here's the voice of the Sooners, Toby Rowland.
Welcome, everybody, to Rudy's on a Monday night. It is time for the Huddle as we begin 2 straight hours of Sooner Sports Talk. As Caleb Kelly is indicating, it is OU Texas week, everybody. Greatest week of the year. Greatest game in American sports coming up this Saturday, 2:30 in the Cotton Bowl. We're here to talk about it. Next hour, Sooners head coach Brent Venables will be alongside, as well as the Butkus Award winner, Teddy Lehman. But please help me welcome my co-hosts for the Huddle tonight. The guy at the end took the ball away from Texas, and he wore a Beat Texas hat tonight. That's Caleb Kelly.
Love it. Love it. Excited.
How are we doing tonight?
Oh, blessed.
Love
blessed,
the hat.
blessed. Oh,
Love
yeah.
the hat.
Thanks.
Love the hat.
Yep.
Great
This guy
hat.
right here, maybe the best center in college football history.
Hello.
We're going to stick with that story.
That
It's
is
Gabe
not
Eichert,
true.
everybody.
Not even the best center in OU history.
Eichert. Creed Humphrey is on the
Creed
phone. He would like
Humphrey
to
is the
talk with
best.
you.
Yes,
Right?
no offense to any of the great centers that have played at Oklahoma. But Creed
Opening-
Humphrey's the best.
Opening segment presented by Community Coffee, family-owned Community Coffee, the official brewed coffee of OU Athletics. Taste the difference family makes. But before we get to the Sooners Longhorns talk, we need to take a look back. It's been a while because of the bye week, but a little Sooner magic showed itself a week ago Saturday on the Plains down at Auburn. A 27-21 fourth quarter comeback victory over the Tigers. Caleb, it was a special Saturday, a special fourth quarter.
Loved it. Loved it. And you look at the play, the Kip Lewis pick six. You're showing cover zero. Everybody's locked up, man to man. You got 6 blitzers on the line of scrimmage. So that means that there are 5 blockers with 6 rushers. One guy's going free. I don't know why you let our Mason Thomas free, but whatever. That's on y'all. And next thing you know, you get 4 guys to drop back. Kip Lewis is one of them. Our Mason Thomas gets a little tip, a little kip, interception, almost stumble, almost gets caught by Cam Coleman, wide receiver. Almost. Yeah. He didn't get caught, but threw him into the end zone. Get your weight up, little homie. And that's how we end the game. So I love it. I love it.
First of all, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was great. Atmosphere was great. Crowd was great.
When I started doing this stuff for OU, I never thought I'd call a game at Auburn.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun, awesome atmosphere, and I feel it felt like, this is why we came to the SEC for games like this, atmospheres like that, and I think that win told you a lot about this football team and a lot about the culture of this program.
Yep.
Because I think we could all agree, for a while there, it didn't feel great.
Looked bleak.
Looked bleak. That's a great way of putting it.
Thank you.
You're so good with words.
Appreciate that. And you're a great center.
It looked bleak. And to this team's credit, they kept playing. They kept playing. They kept playing. They kept swinging. They kept swinging. And things just kind of fell in place for them. And that is when Kip Lewis returned that interception for a touchdown, when the Kip 6 took place. That is the highest I've jumped in years.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't high, but it was. Yeah. I was doing my best, man. But it was so much fun. And my hope is that the way that the end of that game unfolded, the way that the back half of that fourth quarter unfolded for this football team, that it propels this group for the rest of the season, because that was an awesome, awesome finish to that football game. And Caleb, you got to imagine these guys gained some confidence being able to go and get that win.
Yeah, and bleak is the word that I'm going to use now as well.
Okay. Yeah.
And
trademark.
I'm sitting there looking at it myself, and I'm like, Yeah, we need a little bit of pop. We need something to happen here. Sooner magic. We're not praying to the Sooner gods or anything, but
call it whatever you want to call it.
Whatever you got to do, man.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with saying a prayer to Barry Switzer real fast.
Man, it's just exciting. But again, like Gabe just said, man, it shows that fight, and it's really hard when you're in that situation. The entire stadium is going crazy. You're in enemy territory, and they're loving it. They're going hooping and hollering. Drinks are flowing. They're feeling good. You see the videos of all the fans starting to leave early and everything. Next thing you know, those fans are crying like,
oops.
I love it. Like, you love it, and you gotta fight. You gotta believe when nobody else believes, and that's why we always say, and we love our fans. We love Sooner Nation. They're the best, but it really takes every single person in that locker room, every single person on that sideline, because nobody else is out there in the arena, the man in the arena, going out there and making the plays, and so. When you're in that enemy territory, you truly feel it. And to believe in that moment when you're looking up and you're like, dang, we don't have much time, man, that's impressive. And so that's where I'm so proud of the guys.
A lot of things to talk about from this game. Let's start with the quarterback. Michael Hawkins makes his first career start, the true freshman on the road. Gabe, he had the early touchdown run that was spectacular. Then he was quiet for the middle part of the game, and then he contributed to that big fourth quarter as well. What was your assessment of Michael Hawkins?
I thought, all things considered, he played very well. You're a true freshman.
True freshman.
Going and starting your first football game against an Auburn team that is, that's a solid football team.
Yep.
And most importantly, he took care of the football. Didn't make any critical mistakes. Now, I am sure that after the game, he watched the film and went, dang it, I left some plays out there on the field, especially in the passing game. But all things considered, the run was awesome on the first drive of the game. We all were turning and going, we've got the best player in America. This is incredible.
Give him the Heisman.
Give this young man the Heisman Trophy. That was a lot of fun and extremely exciting, but I think he continued to show solid decision-making, and clearly his athleticism and his mobility are a huge weapon, and you're going to start seeing that athleticism affect the way that defenses have to play you.
Yeah.
The touchdown run's a perfect example.
Yeah.
Auburn chose to play zero. Oops.
Yeah.
How about this play?
Yeah, and you see the fire right there.
How many times are we going to do this, young man?
He's young.
That's two games in a row.
You know what I mean?
He's spry.
Senior Mike Hawkins doesn't have to jump anymore like that. But freshman, we'll take that every week.
No, that was – and you think about that – and it happened when he got his opportunity against Tennessee, and we saw it again. He continues to show his teammates that he's going to do what it takes to help this football team win. I wish it would involve less acrobatics, but – he's putting his body on the line for his team, and that carries weight in that locker room. I know that it would carry weight for me if I was still playing.
It's hard to lead as a freshman, but when you see a guy compete like that, Caleb, guys want to fall in line behind him, right?
Yeah, you just respect it. You had to wait your turn a little bit. You had to compete, go into a battle, name somebody else a starter before the season, and you don't put your head down and sulk. That's kind of an expectation. But then at that point, do I fold? Do I stop doing my job week in, week out? Do I just sit and watch and not be ready to go in whenever my number's called? No, I got to stay ready. And then as soon as I get my opportunity, do I make the most of it? And that's what you're seeing right now is a guy who was prepared, and when his opportunity and preparation met at one time, he's exploding. And I love the point that you said defenses are going to have to start playing him differently now, because you saw Auburn had a spy multiple times throughout the game, and sometimes the spy did well against them, but you can't rely on that throughout an entire game. You're just giving up an extra guy. So you're leaving extra lanes, extra zones, and different things. And so, Gabe, you could touch on it, but I really am excited about his athletic ability and how hard it is to play against a dual-threat quarterback.
He's only going to get better. He's only going to get better as he continues to play and continues to go through these experiences. But when I think back to the Auburn game, I think the most encouraging thing I saw from Michael Hawkins was his communication. And I know that may sound strange because when you look at a quarterback, it's about, hey, how's he throwing the football? Is he using his legs? All that stuff. But his ability to communicate at the line of scrimmage in that environment, and for that offensive line to all be on the same page and for the backs to be on the same page, I thought he was excellent.
Yeah.
In those situations, and just very demonstrative.
And in the atmosphere.
He was in complete command from a communication perspective, which is not typically what you say about a freshman quarterback.
Right.
But I thought the offensive line had its best game
Good.
from a communication standpoint, targeting the proper guys in the run game, in pass protection. And I think Michael Hawkins, in his level of communication at the line of scrimmage, I think it had a lot to do with it. I was really, really impressed with how he handled all of that.
Well, Caleb has already talked about or touched upon the play of the game, play of the year so far for OU football. Fourth quarter, Kip Lewis comes up with a very Torrance Marshall-esque pick six that moves the Sooners from a deficit to a lead. It's the kind of play that we'll talk about for years and years, maybe decades, depending on how this season goes. But what a dramatic moment. And what a game that Kip Lewis had all around, Gabe.
He's getting better. And the thing that, and Danny Stutzman gets all the headlines because he's a fantastic player and he deserves them. But Kip Lewis he's turning things up now. Yeah. And the thing that I love about Kip, just being down on the sidelines for games, is that dude is the emotional spark of this football team. He is on 100 all the time, whether the offense is on the field, whether he's out on the field, whether he's taking a series off on the sideline. He's the guy that brings the juice for this football team.
Yeah, and he's grown so much. I mean, you see big plays last year in OU Texas where he's getting a couple TFLs on that fourth down stop, that big fourth down stop last year, and you see his electric motor because he's a guy that can play every down. And he was a guy previously where you were too small to play those first, second downs too often. You had to be a guy on the edge. You had to be a blitzer, somebody that could go and just do your job and not worry about pullers and getting caught in the wash and offensive linemen. Well, he's put on the weight now to where you're a complete linebacker. You can play every down if you need to. And he's building that trust with the coaching staff. And I'm just proud of the guy he is, too, because in the past, Kip Lewis is a guy that's on the academics and this, he's on the list and all the things you got to check. But now he's a guy that's handling his business. And it's funny when your coach is right and your coach tells you, like, listen, you're either all right or you're all wrong. You handle your business off the field, it carries on to the field. And we've seen him do that an entire year of putting on the right weight, of learning his plays, of being the energetic, positive guy. And now he's going to go into the game week in and week out and become consistent on that. I'm just so excited because his future's so bright.
And confidence is everything in football. When you go out on the field and you're confident, and that comes with experience, and it comes with making plays. And my hope is that Kip making that type of play is something that gives him even more confidence. And when he steps on the field in the Cotton Bowl this weekend, that he's feeling like he's the guy and he's flying around and making plays. Making a play of that magnitude can be huge for a young player.
He has written his name in Sharpie in Sooner history after that one for sure. One more guy we need to spotlight before we go to this break. You know, J.J. Hester has been criticized at times in his career, hasn't had a touchdown since 2021, had a couple of drops in the season opener. Then we didn't see him for a long time. And with the top 5 wide receivers, Caleb, out for this game, somebody had to step up in that wide receiving core. And lo and behold, it was J.J. making big plays.
And you talk about a comeback story. It's not even halfway through the season yet, so you don't want to say comeback you don't want to throw that out there too much. But the reality is, this guy's been battling for years with injuries and different things. He's a guy that comes out of Tulsa, is an Oklahoma guy, the Oklahoma grown, and he went to Missouri, transferred over here, has had injury after injury, and then comes back this year, has really high expectations, but we have a stacked wide receiver room. Well, then next thing you know, injuries and things happen to the other guy. Somebody's got to step up. We throw him a deep ball and he drops it. And at that point, he gets called out in front of the entire team. The entire team, Coach Venables singles him out and says, "You're a senior player. You're a veteran. You're a guy that we're going to need this year. We need you to step up on special teams, step up on offense. We need you to earn those reps back. That drop ball can't be the last thing that you did." And look at him now at Auburn, making the plays, playing on special teams, was special teams player of the week the following week after that against Tennessee, and then comes in this week in Auburn and has 2 huge catches and even one where he's breaking a bunch of tackles and has a lot of success there to where he can now propel forward, where we got all these injuries, but it's just like, OU, we too deep. It's a reality with a guy like J.J. Hester, who now finally is getting the shot and living up to it.
They needed it, and they're going to need him to make some more this week and in the coming games as well. We'll take a break. We're going to talk a little more Sooner defense when we come back. And coming up soon, we're previewing the 120th Red River Rivalry coming up this Saturday down in Dallas. We'll be back here at Rudy's. Stay with us.
Yeah.
Bringing you the best in real Texas barbecue. Walden Cleaners and Laundry, where the difference is quality. Riverwind Casino. Good times, great rewards. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy.
Running back right is Hunter. One right out, snap, rolling right. Jackson cuts it up, met at the one, dive. I don't think he got there. Billy Bowman in to make the tackle. He didn't get in. He did not get in. 4th and goal, and the Sooners turn away the Tigers.
Welcome back, everybody, to Rudy's. It's the Huddle. The Sooner defense, you know, they had some times on Saturday where they gave up some yards and some points. We probably saw a team move it against them better than we've seen anybody move it against them so far this year. Auburn hit some deep balls, but Caleb, they made big plays in big moments. You saw the 4th down stop there. Obviously, the pick 6. There was another big stop late in the game. They were able to hold them to a couple of field goal tries that they would miss. So still some things to like, a lot of things to like out of this OU defense.
Yeah, and you pointed out the biggest flaw that I saw is that we haven't given up a deep ball yet all year. We gave up about 2 or 3 of them. And you asked the guys, I think Desmond Malone, Kanai Walker were the 2 that were kind of the main culprits of it. And I asked them, I said, well, what are y'all thinking on those? And they said, I mean, unacceptable. I mean, it's just something that we got to stay over the top, do our technique, and we'll just handle it like pros. And it really was a pro response. And you like that because in the past, you know, I played with a lot of DBs and a lot of defenses where guys are kind of pointing the finger. Well, you know, it was a good throw or it was this or it was that. But we have this culture now, and I think that's what you're seeing with our defense and why it's so successful is that we demand excellence. There is no whining. There is no complaining. The reality is if you mess up, we're going to hold you accountable and we're going to grow from it. And then when we get our opportunities, now that we have so much depth, every opportunity matters so much to our defensive guys that they're playing with their hair on fire. Because the guy beneath them, the guy under them in the roster could come and take their spot at any moment. Everybody's as good now as each other. And those starters, there's not this big drop-off. And so, man, when you think about the growth, the plays, the number of guys that we're mentioning, I mean, you can go through the entire starting lineup and see the stats and the plays that have been made, and it's impressive all the way across the board. And so, yeah, there's still Danny Stutzman, Billy Bowman, Kip Lewis, guys that we're going to mention, but they're playing such good complementary defense and doing so well. That play there by Samuel Masigo that sets up the pick. I mean, if it's 3rd and short, they're probably running the ball, not even throwing it. But he gets a TFL. They're just doing their job, focusing on themselves and holding each other accountable. And now it's not so much worrying about what is the play call, what are the things that I have to do that they had the last 2 years. It's how can I go out there and make a game-winning play? How can I go out there and make a turnover, a game-changing play? And it's paying off.
Well, you know, we're in the middle of the baseball playoffs right now, and once upon a time, anytime the Yankees needed to finish off a game, they'd call upon Mariano Rivera. And Oklahoma on defense has their own Mariano Rivera this year. The closer, R. Mason Thomas, has been phenomenal in the 4th quarter of football games, Gabe, and he did it again Saturday.
Yeah, and he's continuing to get better. I think everyone sees the way that he's closed out a couple of these football games this year and gets very excited. What I'm excited about is the fact that his down-to-down performance is improving.
Yeah.
He's playing the run better. He's using his hands better at the point of attack in the run game. He wins a lot of pass rush reps where he doesn't get there or the ball is gone quickly.
Yeah.
So I think you think about how he closed the Tulane game, how he closed the Auburn game. That's a product of getting the other team in obvious passing situations, getting them in those situations where they have to drop back and throw the football and just letting him go to work. And it's similar to what we said about Kip Lewis. I think that our Mason Thomas making these types of plays is going to fuel his confidence, and he's only going to continue to play at a higher and higher level, Caleb.
Yeah, and we've been waiting on our Mason for a
been a while.
long time.
We've been waiting.
I mean, long time. I love you call him a lawyer. I mean, he's just put in that work. You got to go through that grueling process of going to school and doing all that work to get that attorney's license.
And he's healthy.
You know what I mean?
He had to pass the bar.
And his ankles feel good.
Yeah. And now he's winning reps against both sides, which is impressive. Some pass rushers, they can only rush on one side. He's a guy that can go on both and can win every single time, like Gabe said. And man, he's just growing, getting better. Our Mason Thomas is going to be a guy that you're going to watch all year long and be excited every time that it's 3rd and long, because now teams are going to have to start doing screens and start doing little slants and have to break tackles to get the ball off, because if they take a real 3-step drop, our Mason Thomas is going to be there, and he's just improving week in, week out, and we're just so proud of him.
It's fun to watch. Offensive side of the ball, still waiting for a running back to kind of bust out and have one of those games, but Javonte Barnes got a touchdown. Gabe, maybe starting to find a little traction in the running game with JB?
Yeah, I think Javonte Barnes is obviously a part of that. You kind of know what you're getting from him at this point. He's going to pour it downhill.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a bunch of shimmy shaking going on.
No.
He's gonna run with power and physicality. But I think the most encouraging thing is that the offensive line, I believe, had their best game when it came to how they were targeting things in the run game. Guys being on the same page, everyone understanding what they're trying to accomplish and some of the concepts, leveraging things properly with their blocks. And we finally saw the 5 guys that we thought it were going to be.
Yeah.
And a couple of them still banged up, but it was just good to see that group out there. And I'm hopeful that because of the bye week, that they could get a little healthier at a couple of spots, and we can see the best version of this offensive line that we've seen.
Yeah, and I think we don't have to run away from the QB run as well. Mike Hawkins is an athlete.
Yeah.
And
embrace the QB run.
Yeah, and we don't have to be Jalen Hurts out there. I mean, top rusher every single week. We don't have to go back to that, but we do have to embrace his speed. I mean, 4.48 is what they clocked him at with pads on.
Yeah.
4.48 with pads on is impressive.
Like a young Caleb Kelly out there.
I don't know if I was getting that with pads on, but I'll take it, though. Yeah, I'll take it.
Maybe the first of his 8 years on campus. He could run that fast.
Yeah.
He can fly, man.
I did hawk Justice Hill, though. He was 4.4 at the combine.
He can roll. Now,
all orange is ugly.
I
just
agree.
So you know.
I completely agree, and especially a week like this week, Texas has good defense. And one way to make things really difficult on a good defense is to gain an extra hat in the blocking scheme. And
Dylan Gabriel last year had 120 rushing yards.
That's exactly what QB run game does. An effective QB run game is a nightmare for a defense, especially when the guy's as athletic as Michael Hawkins Jr. is.
And Michael Hawkins Jr. is a guy that played both ways. I mean, he played safety. His dad is a defensive safety, corner, nickel position himself, played in the league. And so when it comes to toughness, he's got it. He's not just your pretty boy, sit in the pocket, Quinn Ewers. He's a guy that's going to go out there and actually run down the field.
Come on.
My fault.
Come on now.
My fault. I just looked at the stats, and Quinn Ewers has negative 1 yard rushing.
He wore the hat. He can't help it. It just oozes out of his book.
It's just he's.
You got to forgive him. He played.
The man said what he said.
One more game. One more guy.
He said what he said.
One more guy. We don't often talk about the kickers on here, but Zach Schmidt has also had some criticism in his career. He hasn't played this year. He was forced to play because of the Tyler Keltner appendicitis. 2 for 2 and was clutch late when they needed to put this game away.
He does what any good Bishop McGinnis man does. He battles through adversity, Toby.
That's right.
And when called upon in the biggest
trait.
moment, he delivered. No, I was thrilled for Zach, in all seriousness. I mean, that kick late in that football game, that changed how Auburn had to operate. And I was just, Caleb, I was thrilled for him. He's gone through a lot. And he missed a lot of kicks over the last couple of years, and there's criticism that comes with that. But for him to go out there in that moment and to execute,
tight game on the road.
It was I was thrilled for Schmidt.
and I think I told the story somewhere, but as soon as Tyler Keltner gets named the starter, Doug Deacon texts me and says, "Hey, I need you to watch out for Zach Schmidt because I don't know when, but at some point in time, he's going to be exactly what we need." And I took a screenshot of it and sent it to Zach right away and said, "Hey, this is what your coach thinks." And so, yeah, there's decisions that have been made and things are happening, but your coach still believes in you, still wants you to be locked in, and still cares about you. And then I went back to it after this game and said, well, I guess that came to fruition. Huh?
Yeah. Keltner is apparently back. We don't know who's going to kick. Texas doesn't know who's going to kick, so we got them all out of sorts. We don't know who they're going to run out there on Saturday.
What are they going to do?
They're probably not sleeping. All right, we'll take a break. We're going to preview OU Texas 120 when we come back here on The Huddle. Stay with us.
Log on to Soonersports.com/kids for information about joining the Sooner Junior Kids Club presented by OG&E and brought to you in part by Orthodontics exclusively, Mathis Home, and Devon Energy. OU's 2024 football games are available on Exodus 96.5 FM in Oklahoma City and 101.5 FM El Patron in Tulsa, as well as on those stations' websites. Each OU Spanish broadcast will feature a 30-minute pregame show and a 15-minute postgame show. The best place to gear up for game day is shop.soonersports.com.
Out of the shotgun, Thorne all alone. Empty set. There's the snap. Back to pass. Looks right. Darts one across the middle. Intercepted. Kip Lewis has it. Far sideline 50.
He's
down
going.
the sidelines 40. He's to the 30. Kip Lewis down the sideline being chased to the 5. He reaches. Touchdown. Touchdown. Kip Lewis pick 6. Kip Lewis pick 6. And the Sooners lead it at Auburn.
There you go. There's the kick 6. A couple of things from that clip. That guy's a screaming idiot, but two things I do like from that is Teddy saying he's going in the middle of that, and then that's our statistician Dennis Kelly. You can hear screaming in the background. Maybe a little Joe Castiglione mixed in there as well. He was in the booth with us when that took place, so that was a fun moment.
It is a good thing that my mic did not get switched on with what I was saying.
Anytime something big happens, our engineer Drake Dykin says, "Kill Gabe Eichert's mic right now."
That is definitely the best thing to do.
Behind Enemy Lines, brought to you by the Riverwind Casino. Good times, great rewards. Okay, let's talk about this matchup with Texas, the #1 ranked Texas Longhorns. Texas ranked #1 coming into Red River for the first time since 1984, which was also one of the most notorious games in this rivalry. That was the 15-15 Keith Stanberry quote-unquote tie. He had 17 feet in bounds, but they still called him out of bounds. Here's the Longhorns this year. They're undefeated. They whacked Michigan up in Ann Arbor, gave their average in 45 points a game. They haven't given up more than 13 points to anybody this season. So the Brahms Ice Cream and Dairy Store scoop on Texas. What do you got?
Very good football team. Very well coached. Very fundamentally sound. An interesting situation at quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the #1 thing I'm looking at coming into this game is it sounds like Quinn Ewers is going to be back. It sounds like he's going to start the football game. How does he look? How is he feeling? Are we getting, hey, he's fully healthy, he's all the way back, he has no limitations, or is he 80%?
And what if he struggles early?
Arch Manning is really good. I mean, that's just with what I've seen on tape, his mobility, his ability to rip it down the field. I don't think they've taken a step back really at all offensively with what he's brought to the table when you consider what he adds to the run game with his athleticism. But Ewers is a veteran guy, played in a ton of football games. He's going to be comfortable out there on this setting. But I think that you gotta hit him early and just see how he's feeling. You have to test how his rehab has gone with the ab situation. And I think Brent Venables and Zach Alley in this defense will do that. But, yeah, I think that's the most interesting thing heading in this game is, how healthy really is Quinn Ewers.
Yeah, and, you have a guy in Quinn Ewers who is going to be the team's vocal leader, the experienced leader, kind of the voice of the team. That's just what a quarterback is. He's a guy that is in the media, isn't a quiet quarterback, not a super focused Kyler Murray type, more like their knockoff version of Baker type of quarterback.
He's in the Dr. Pepper commercials.
Exactly, and so he's the one that coaches probably want to be out there in an emotional game like OU Texas, but.
He probably was the Heisman front runner when he went down.
Right, and he can throw the heck out of the ball.
Yeah.
But when you talk about facing, in a defensive perspective, facing a guy like Arch Manning who can throw the ball as well, but can run and has been their top 5 rusher every week that he's played, as well as their leading passer, that's adding a whole nother portion to the game that we talk about with Mike Hawkins for us.
Okay, I'll ask you. I'm not afraid to ask you.
Oh, boy.
Put yourself in the meeting room.
Yeah.
Who would you rather have Texas trot out a quarterback?
I'd rather play against Quinn Ewers.
Okay.
I mean, the difference is this. I get what you're saying. There's an element that Arch brings with his mobility or his speed that maybe Ewers doesn't have. The other side of that is experience historically has mattered a lot in this game.
Yeah.
Having been in this environment matters, and Quinn Ewers has.
Yeah, and he's going, again, to be the emotional leader, the guy that lost last year, the guy that has the vengeance and has been out a couple weeks in a row and is going to be able to pump the team up. But when you have an injury the way that he has and you've kind of been saved for this game, you're not getting hit. You're not having the contact. You're not going through and making the plays and building that rapport and credibility. And so as soon as you make that mistake, as soon as you throw that interception, he has 14 interceptions, and our defense is top 5 in the country in interceptions and turnover margin. So as soon as you make that mistake, you make those bad plays, well, they're going to be cheering for the other guy.
Yeah.
It's the Spencer Caleb situation.
They've got a good problem. They have
the best problem
it's
on
awesome
their hands.
for him.
Taco Maya wants to know what's on the menu. Big appetite, bigger savings. Download and save today. So what do the Sooners have to do to win this game here, Gabe?
I think when you look at Texas's offense, a lot of the conversation is going to be around Ewers and Arch Manning, and rightfully so. But I think the key to playing good defense against them is slowing down their run game in the RPO game that's built off that. Mm-hmm. If they can run it efficiently, it's going to be a long day.
The rushing leader, the team that has the most rushing yards in the game for the past 24 games since 2000 is 22-2.
And what they do from a run game and RPO standpoint is stresses you. It basically makes you defend every blade of grass horizontally.
Yep.
They will have a run concept, whether it's GT counter into the boundary or whether it's pin pull into the boundary, zone into the boundary, and there's this RPO stretching you laterally all the way to the field on the other side. And you have to be gap sound across the board.
And then they'll go Ryan Wingo.
They got speed, man. They're really
Bond
good.
Over the top.
They're a really good team. They deserve to be number 1 in the country.
Yeah.
And that, as much as that pains me to compliment Texas, it's just the truth. But there's a blueprint to going and winning this football game for Oklahoma. But I think that conversation starts with the strength of our football team going out there and playing well.
Yeah.
The defense has to play well.
Yeah.
They have to play at an extremely high level. The group that showed up against Tennessee
Yeah.
With that physicality, that look in their eye, that level of execution, that's the group that's got to show up on Saturday.
Oh, I can't wait for this environment.
Oh,
It's going to be
gosh.
unbelievable Saturday. 2:30 kickoff down in Dallas. When we come back, what a Saturday we just experienced during the bye week in college football.
Man.
Upsets all over the place. They're trying to fish a field goal out of the Cumberland River. We'll be back right after this.
We want to thank all of our Sooner Radio Network affiliates across the state and region. Fans can check out Soonersports.com for an affiliate in your area. And if you're traveling outside the state of Oklahoma, you can listen to all the action on either SiriusXM Radio or download the Varsity Network app and listen free. Taco Mayo. Big appetite, bigger savings. Download and save today. Air Comfort Solutions, your total home solution for plumbing, heating, air conditioning, and electrical. Make the winning call today.
3rd and 5. Hawkins back to pass. Looks right. Holds. Steps up. He'll run it. Cuts left. First down. 45-40. Watch out. 35-30. It's a race. Michael Hawkins all the way to the end zone. Touchdown. The eagle has flown, but it is Hawk that has soared early in Auburn. 6-0 OU. Michael Hawkins, a 48-yard touchdown run right up the gut.
Well, we could use a couple more of those coming up Saturday in the Cotton Bowl as the Sooners and Longhorns get together for the 120th time. Let's talk about the rest of college football now. First off, though, What's Your Beef? Brought to you by Didier Ranch's premium ranch-raised beef. Can be shipped anywhere in the continental U.S. Visit DidierRanch.com. That's DidierRanch.com to order. Didier Ranch, tradition tastes better. Gabe Eichert, what's your beef tonight?
I understand that the SEC, their policy is to fine teams when the fans storm the field.
Right.
I feel that fine should be overlooked for Vanderbilt.
Waive the fine for Vanderbilt. Yeah. They've been through enough.
It may not happen. It may not happen again in our lives.
What if the rest of the teams in the SEC all chipped in to help them pay for it?
Did you see that the fine now you pay the other school?
Oh, really? You give it directly to the
Isn't that interesting?
So Arkansas did it too.
Yeah.
Well, Arkansas's got to pay Tennessee $100,000.
Correct. That's how I understood it. Maybe I'm just an idiot and I read it wrong. That could be very possible. But that's how I understood it.
Hey, it was the best $100,000 Vanderbilt has ever spent.
Can you imagine how quickly they raised that?
They were chopping up the goalposts today and selling it on the internet already.
That's awesome. But
and it's like $4,000 for a 4-inch thing of goalpost.
It's one of those things where I went, just let it go for Vandy.
Yeah.
They hadn't beaten them forever. We don't know the next time they're going to beat them. Just let them enjoy it.
That was the biggest upset, Caleb, on a huge upset Saturday. Arkansas hands Tennessee their first loss. Washington over Michigan. Minnesota beat USC. Miami hangs on late over Cal. You can see it there. What else jumped out at you, Caleb, from this Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sticking with the Miami. 2 weeks in a row that they're winning off of refs. I don't know if that's me.
I don't know about that.
I'm just going to keep it with this. Cam Ward's an amazing quarterback.
He was excellent in the fourth
said
quarter.
week one, this dude needs to be in the Heisman race, and I agree that he's top 3. I think
They've gotten some fortunate calls the last couple.
Correct.
Yes. And
Would you think it was targeting?
No, I'm a defensive guy. Ain't no
I was
targeting
about to say, I'd be
that.
hey, that QB from Cal got smoked on that play.
Yeah. Don't say Cal and smoked in the same sentence. That's
that
you're going off.
I'll give them credit. That college game day atmosphere there in Berkeley looked awesome. The signs,
the posters were amazing.
The signs were awesome.
All right, coming up this week, it's another great Saturday. In addition to Red River, you got Ohio State at Oregon.
Sheesh.
That is Dylan Gabriel and Will Howard, by the way, going head-to-head, just like in the old days. Ole Miss at LSU, a top 15 showdown. And Penn State heads cross-country to the Coliseum to take on a little bit of a staggered USC team. That Ohio State-Oregon game is a primetime game, so you can listen to that or watch it after the OU-Texas game on Saturday.
That is going to be a fun game to watch as we're celebrating an OU victory, isn't it?
I agree with that. Yeah, that'd be fun.
I mean, could you imagine if that's how Saturday unfolds?
Oh, yeah.
Sooners pull it off, then we get to watch that game with some beverages in hand.
Corn dogs is where I went. Yeah, that's yeah.
Well, I'm getting It's simple. It's the same formula every year.
Right.
Corn dog, funnel cake,
Yeah.
3 beers.
Okay.
There it is.
Whether they're happy beers or sad beers, that is for OU's football
Similar
team to
for me.
determine.
Corn dog, funnel cake, 3 more corn dogs. That's what I usually do.
Oh, wow. Wow.
To each their own,
Yeah,
sir.
each their own. We'll take a break. We got bold predictions, hot takes to end the show when we come back.
Thank you to our cornerstone television partners, OU Health, OG&E, Fowler Auto Group, and Coca-Cola.
Minutes to play. Snap. Back to pass. Steps up. Got away from R. Mason. Being chased by Grayson Halton. Backed up. Under pressure. They got him. They got him. R. Mason Thomas planted him. Sooner Magic in the deep south. And with 1:54 to go, Oklahoma's got the ball back.
All right, wrapping up the show. Brent Venables right around the corner. Final segment of the Huddle brought to you by Air Comfort Solutions. Time for our hot takes. Air Comfort Solutions, your total home solution for plumbing, heating, air conditioning, and electrical. Make the winning call today. Caleb, you're first. We got to go quick here. What's your hot take for OU Texas?
I was just trying to look at the history. You know, I'm 6-1 against Texas on the teams I played with. The one year that we lost, we beat them in the Big 12 championship. No big deal. Anything, they suck. But the reality is that in one of those games, 2019, we had 9 sacks. I'm not saying we're going to have 9 sacks. I'm saying we're going to have 5 and 2 turnovers. That's what I'm going with this weekend. Boomer
5
Sooner.
sacks plus 2 turnovers.
If 5 sacks wasn't bold enough, he just sprinkled the 2 turnovers on top of that.
He came ready to party tonight. You?
I'm trying to decide, for whatever reason, I think that Bauer Sharp can have a big day against Texas.
All right.
I think when you look at what they do from a coverage standpoint, I think there is the ability to attack the middle of the field, and I think that Bauer Sharp has done a good job of getting open. And in some of those instances, the ball just hasn't found him.
You got 20 seconds. What's your
Bauer
prediction?
Sharp, leading receiver.
Leading receiver. Okay, got it.
Is that bold enough?
Yeah, it
I
is.
think so.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, I mean,
I think it is. I'll save my prediction for the second show. Fun being with you guys tonight. We'll do it again next week. Stick around. Brent Venables, Teddy Lehman coming up next. Boomer Sooner, everybody.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
The OU Huddle has been brought to you by Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, bringing you the best in real Texas barbecue. Walden Cleaners and Laundry, where the difference is quality. And by Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Sooner Sports Network.